The king is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Once again, I was speaking too slowly. Let me speed up. Here we are with yet another episode, another edition. I am here. My name is Juan. As always, joined by Mark and Kevin, and we like movies. And if you haven't guessed it, we are reviewing the 2022 Baz Luhrmann film, Elvis. This was Kevin's pick. It is a biopic of the career of one of the most famous music icons to date. Um, I don't know what more to say about this, except that again, it's a film giving us at least Baz Luhrmann's interpretation of the life and career of Elvis. What made him who he was, the different dynamics, the relationships, the drama, the challenges that he faced, and in particular the relationship that he had with his infamous manager, Colonel Tom Parker, who could almost claim to have discovered Elvis, or at least more accurately, probably to have been the one to truly catapult him into becoming a household name and one of the most famous recording artists of all time. And probably one of the most successful, highest selling musical artists as well. That's all I think I'll say about that. If you have not yet seen the film, as always, this is your warning to go ahead and watch it, and then come back and listen to us, because we will go into spoilers and we will uncover every nook and cranny of this film. That being said, Kevin, why don't you tell us your take on this movie?
All right, so 40 minutes in, I was ready to trash this movie and issue some apologies. I was not liking the beginning, and I do admit Baz Luhrmann always has these interesting ways of framing his movies. I just was not a fan of that beginning when it was jumping from scene to scene. It wasn't letting me like sink into anything, and that maybe because we just watched Drive My Car, which held shots out longer, and I was just like, man, I am not I am not liking this movie. I'm gonna have to issue some apologies. But as the movie moved along, jumping quickly ahead to some important moments in his life, it started to make me wonder if this is what it felt for Elvis in his life, like trying to remain true to his rebellious spirit, but constantly being controlled by people manipulating him. And it showed like this underlying evil that can exist in someone's life that people can never realize is there. And by the end, I actually did feel like they crafted a compelling main character that we could empathize with, while creating a villain that was actually creepy and scary without being boisterous or over the top. And all I would say is kudos to Austin Butler and Tom Hanks, because I think they absolutely nailed those roles. And that's my quick take.
Great. Thanks.
Let's talk about who's up next.
I'm going. Slow down.
Okay, you go.
Yeah,
Can I go real quick?
Oh,
Oh,
be my guest.
okay. The floor is yours.
It's real quick. Ditto.
Mm.
Now go ahead, Juan.
I will elaborate on that because it's also a ditto for me. I don't think it was quite. I think it was less than 40 minutes, but certainly the introduction and just maybe like the opening sequence, I was really worried, because I did not like it. Did not start off well, and because I had reservations about Baz Luhrmann. Although I was wrong, because I was thinking that he had done something after Gatsby that I didn't like, but it was a show on HBO that I wasn't a huge fan of. But he hasn't done a film since Gatsby, and actually looking through his filmography, I'm actually a fan of most of the films that he's done. So I think I was confusing another movie for something that he had done. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into the story. I definitely want to share what my favorite scene was. I also want to say that by the end of it, I was very sad for like Elvis. The movie made me very sad for him. I could have used less of Tom Hanks, actually. Um, Partly on a personal level because I'm just super annoyed by him recently, and what he's become outside of film. But but even still, like I just wanted more of Elvis, and I wanted more of Austin Butler. I mean, hands down, I was very skeptical and was feeling like, he's just the flavor of the month and he's overhyped. But holy smokes, man, this was the performance of this guy's career, probably. Um, and I can't imagine another actor, that could. It was just intense, man. Like Elvis, you could, gave it his all in performances, and it felt like Austin Butler was extremely faithful in every way to that aspect of the character and so many others. So I'm glad that after that introduction, Boz actually seemed to like pull back and become a lot more tame with his choices, with even with the editing and the way that the story was told. But yeah, at the end of the day, long film, although it's understandable because it's a biopic spanning, the career of one of the most famous musicians of all time. So it was enjoyable. It was very well done. It was emotional and even pretty awe-inspiring and very well done. Unlike a lot of other particularly musical biopics that have come out recently, such as the Queen one and the Elton John one, which I didn't even watch, and other ones that I just don't really even care for. I was afraid that this would also be like that, but I am glad that it was not, and it was very good.
So since I didn't really say much, I'll kind of jump in now. I will say the Queen movie. My favorite scene was the Live Aid concert. That
Hmm.
kind of was just that was the movie for me. Everything else before and after, I really didn't care for. And and here we go in this movie. And I been hit on it 100%. I don't know if it was 40 minutes, like you said, Juan. But there was movie one and movie yes, and movie one I did not care for. Movie yes, I was like yes, and that happened with the comeback performance. That
Special.
like oh yeah, that I literally got chills when he sang that, and that's I mean that's credit to Butler and how he acted that scene out and how he sang it, but the how he got to that point, and I feel like that was why the movie was shot the way that it was shot, because we have this crazy first, like, this guy was a flash in the pan, and then he had to go. I mean, he was forced to go into the army, and which is hilarious. So I feel like there was a reason for it to feel like two different movies. But that first half I really didn't care for, and I just was not excited. I didn't like the whole adding generation's music to a movie about someone from the 50s. It didn't sit right with me. It took me out of it. Um, that was just a little jarring. I didn't mind it being in the credits, but during the movie itself, it killed me. And I noticed that didn't happen in the second half. It was more of Elvis's songs that were being played, transitioning from scenes. So I don't know why. Maybe because he didn't have a library yet, and that's why we didn't hear that from him first half. But I noticed that, and it really killed it for me. But I'm glad that didn't happen in the second half. But yeah, man, that comeback special, it really, I really got chills from it.
Uh,
Um, oh, sorry, go
about
ahead.
that special, real quick. How insane was that special?
Yeah.
That thing went from classic songs to gospel to the whorehouse to kung fu to RFK being shot, and then that final song. I'm like, this is the craziest special, and I've seen that special, and I don't remember it the way they portrayed it. I'm like, but then I was like, wait, I remember all these things, but I don't realize it's just jumping from one to the other. I'm like, I don't I'm like, this is insane.
We gotta watch it, man, because it was crazy. But
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it ended the way that it ended, it makes you forget about everything else, really.
Yeah. The scene that was my favorite scene was um, when he decided to do the show in Vegas. And then he was on stage, and it was when he was discovering his big sound,
Hmm.
which is whenever I think of Elvis's music that I listen to, it's always like massive, big sound, this 30-piece orchestra and whatever. So the part where he was like directing the orchestra and cueing the musicians and
Yeah.
and pretty much just building the song the way that he wanted it to sound, because with an artist like Elvis, especially for us who weren't alive at the time, you're just used to seeing the persona. Like, it's easy to forget or to dismiss that this was like an incredible like musical talent, and I think for me, especially with him, it's like, the good looks, the acting, yes, the voice was good, and he had an incredible stage presence, but it was like underneath it all there was this actual incredibly gifted musician that could direct like that, and create something that was really really breathtaking and just incredible. And I thought that was just like shot really well. Every performance really was in the film was incredible. And again, Austin Butler, I don't know, I, I don't think he was, there's no way he was singing in
Yeah, he
this.
Yeah.
sung.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because Elvis has a very unique voice,
Yeah.
and uniquely gifted voice with some of the notes that he's able to hit. And so,
I mean, he
wow.
probably got help from
Well,
some
well,
computer
I think
equipment, but he
no.
was
I think he said he practiced for like 3 6 months with a coach to try to get I forgot what it was, 3 or 6,
yeah.
with a coach to get the tone right for him, because he's a singer, but he's
Wow.
like, he just wanted to sound like Elvis, so he just practiced so much.
Right.
Wow. That's that even takes it to a whole nother level now. Wow.
No, to what Juan was saying about like how big of a talent it is. My aunt, like, she saw this in theaters, and she said afterwards she actually cried because, like, she's like, you see how much talent like he had, and it could have been used, but how much was abused and taken away from him, and corrupted, and how much more he could have done, going globally and all this other stuff
Yeah.
that he just wasn't able to do. She said afterwards she actually cried,
Yeah.
and because she remembered, she said, like, this is going to lead into my fun fact. Um, no, she said she remembers that time period. It just captured it perfectly. And I did not know this until I called my aunt to ask her why it moved her and all that. Apparently, my mom and you remember when they went on tour after that, the first year in Vegas, it said Los
Yeah.
Angeles, Houston, all that stuff.
Yeah.
My mom and my aunt's first concert was that Elvis concert.
What?
Yeah, I was
I
like, oh,
cannot
she go.
picture your mom at an Elvis concert.
Well, my mom was also, I think, like 12 at the time, 12 or 13. My grandma was actually a huge fan. They would always go see all the movies. And then when I was asking my aunt, she was like, I remember looking over the balcony at the Astrodome and watching. I'm like, wait, you were at that concert? She was, oh yeah. I was like, what is this? 43 years later, I find this fact, because I like to say I have the best first concert, which was Michael Jackson, the
Yeah.
Even Better tour. But I was like, Ma,
No,
I think y'all
you
beat me. I was like, what the heck?
That's crazy.
So that was my fun fact I wanted to share with you that I found out in my little research for this.
My fun fact is that Colonel Tom Parker definitely killed Elvis. I
I don't know
mean,
how
Yeah.
fun that fact is.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's making claims the whole time that it was this or this or that. It was like, no, you stinky bastard. It was you. It was totally you. And then also, every time I see a movie about a musician and someone introduces him to drugs, I just think about um what's the movie about? Oh, wow, Dewey Cox. and his,
Come on, man, just a little bit won't hurt you.
You don't want none of this, do we?
It's gonna make you feel better.
It's gonna make you feel.
Oh,
I want to feel better.
you want a bonus fun fact, by the way, gentlemen?
Oh,
You know the Elvis doctor in this, right? Dr. Nick.
yeah.
That's who the doctor on The Simpsons is named after, Dr. Nick, because he's so inept. They named him after Elvis's doctor.
Hi,
Oh,
Dr.
wow.
Nick. Hi,
Hey, it's
everybody.
Dr. Nick. Yeah.
That oh my gosh, that killed me, man. When he just, I think that's what made this movie so sad for me is that his dad was lost in the sauce, man.
Mhm.
He looked at Elvis as a paycheck. His own freaking son looked at him as a paycheck, and kept him chained up, man. Kept him locked up in that golden cage. And when
Yeah.
he was closing all the blinds and telling him what he was gonna do, he said, "Just have Dr. Nick come up." I was like, "Dang, that." I
Yeah.
mean, that sucks, man. It absolutely sucks. And
Yeah.
I think it just hits harder because I'm a father. And I'm like, I'm glad I have all these terrible examples I can look at so I know what not to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that killed me, man.
hmm Yeah, I agree. It definitely parallels a lot like King Kong, and it is crazy how yeah, pretty much like except for Priscilla, like almost every single person in his life was someone that he had too much access and that he confided in and trusted too much over his affairs, his career, his money. But again, like if you think about it, it was like there really wasn't a template. I mean, this guy was the first.
Yeah.
Except you. I think you have to go all the way back to vaudeville, and I only know this because this professor of mine or this teacher in high school taught us about Al Jolson and how
Uh-huh.
he was like the first big superstar, and he created the phrase "you ain't seen nothing yet" and this or that. So like, I guess he was the first big American, superstar, but I mean, that wasn't even at the level, of Elvis and just the hysteria and the mania and again the talent and everything. And I actually was listening to a podcast today where a producer of the movie A Star Is Born, which is mentioned in the Elvis film,
Hmm.
he was saying about the conversations that he was having with Elvis about it, and how he really regretted after seeing the movie, not having done it. And so yeah, to think, that's even crazy to think that he could have been even bigger than he actually was.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, by being given the ability to have the international reach and to shoot the movies that he wanted to shoot and not have been as drugged up as he was. And yeah, just crazy.
I
Yeah.
think something was.
Go.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, go.
No, I think something since we mentioned his dad, like his mom, like really stood out to me in the
Hmm.
movie, like, and I think like you can see how much more he was lost after she died. Because even when they
Yeah.
were trying to like cage him up in the beginning, say don't, she's like, "Your gifts from God." He goes, "You be you." That's all she always cared. She's like, "I don't care about the money." He was to Elvis, she was never happy, but she didn't care about any of that. She was just like, "I just want you to be, just be who you are." Like they're just changing you, and don't let them do that. And that's such a juxtaposition to like what the dad was. The dad was like, "Just do what they tell you, so we can get paid."
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, that part, man. That really sucked because I didn't really know the Elvis story. I just unfortunately only know how he died. Um, so I thought there was a chance that he was actually going to go do that tour, and then he got so famous, and that's why he ended up dying the way that he did. But no, it was far worse than that. He died the way that he did because he was stuck. He was trapped and just being loaded up with the good stuff. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
there was
oh
good.
sorry, go no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm kind of just thinking. So go ahead, go for it.
No, I was gonna say it's I mean, you could understand it for the times, and just how different it was. But now looking back, it's like all of this because he's wiggling his legs? Like, this is why you want to
You're
throw
going
him
to
in
jail.
jail? Because he's wiggling his hips and his legs? And yeah, just the
That was
reaction.
really funny. No, that was really funny. I didn't understand that. I just thought that was baffling. But I get, it was so important that he was forced to give up the career and go into the army.
Yeah.
And there was
Good.
that senator giving that press conference, like while he was going to do the other concert.
Yeah.
Like, no, that part, like that was my favorite scene when he went to do that concert, and he basically said, "F it, I'm going to do it anyway." And they did Trouble, but like
Evil.
that juxtaposed, yeah,
I'll
and
be
he's just singing
evil.
it, yeah, and I was like, man, like everything leading up to that, and that when he was in the car and everything, the lighting, I'm like that's when it was just hitting really well. And then, but they kept showing that one guy who was like, man, he was just railing against everything that Elvis stood for, and I was like, man, that's gonna be rough to try to navigate that, because again, like Juan said, there was no template for this. You know, what I mean, he couldn't say, hey, they did this to this guy before, so he was just
Yeah.
being hounded.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to say Elvis is still the. I mean, the facts at the end said that he's still highest selling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a solo
So
act. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, so you gotta still keep him in that. He's probably the best. I mean, he would, because I know Juan kind of teetered around saying that he was one of the best, but I mean, if you look at numbers don't lie, so I
Yeah.
think you have to say he is the best.
I mean, I don't think there's many on that Mount Rushmore,
Yeah,
but I
probably
would say,
MJ.
yeah, exactly. I'd say him, and Michael Jackson, and
Also,
I was gonna say,
also I remember MJ.
JT,
No, I
you
was
know,
Whitney Houston.
Celine Dion, um,
Maybe.
no,
Mariah.
no, I would say people today would probably say Beyonce. I mean, she's like the modern superstar, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I think it's Elvis and I would say the Beatles.
Well,
Well,
those are groups. That's
solo.
why solo acts.
Oh, okay, you want to stick with just solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's those two guys. Maybe Drake at some point.
No,
The
get
way,
out of here with that.
dude. I'm just saying the numbers wise.
Okay. All right.
Kanye.
All right. No.
Even Rihanna,
I'm kidding. I'm
but
kidding.
I
Maybe.
mean, yeah, obviously no one
But to
has
this day,
even.
he's still number one.
Yeah, right.
Numero
Yeah.
uno.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what was I was obviously if you've heard the podcast, if you've heard me speak, on a lot of movies. I'm not a fan of woke anything, and so that was part of one of my concerns, But I didn't know, like I didn't even know that much about Elvis's background and exactly how much his music was bringing in, these elements of black culture and of gospel music, which was just what he knew and what he grew up with.
Hmm.
So I thought it was really cool, and especially that, again, as we were saying, that he is the number one selling solo recording artist of all time, and part of what made him popular was going against the grain in so many ways at that time, but particularly by having this fusion, and this contradiction of being this white guy, that was just heavily influenced, and inundated in this other culture, and just allowed that to kind of flow through him, into his music was really cool. And I know that obviously this movie doesn't even go into it that much. It definitely mentions it, and it is a part of the story, but I think he did even more with gospel music, and was much bigger in that genre than what is even shown in the film. So it's pretty cool.
I know Baz Luhrmann said there's like he has enough material to do a 4 hour cut, but he's like, I don't have the energy. He goes, it would take me 6 months of editing to do a 4 hour cut.
That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing there is a 4-hour cut. He just doesn't know if it's gonna see the light of day.
At least that's what I read in my thing. Maybe my thing was old. Maybe he did cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I just
But,
read that right now, so yeah, I literally read
oh,
that there is a 4-hour cut.
So,
Um,
oh,
but he
but
hasn't
yeah,
cut it. But yeah.
well, before you segue out of that, I want to
yeah.
touch on what you said. Um, so I watched this movie with my wife, and I kind of gave her an insight because she didn't know who Elvis was and she wasn't interested. So I just gave her a little insight. I said, "Listen, well, I mean, this guy, he made women faint. They would throw his underwear they would throw their underwear at him, and he was just, he was like just below God at some point in his life. Um, he died. Drugs were involved. He died, and that's what I know about him. I know that his music had a lot of like he was an advocate for black people. Like he didn't see color. He just he heard music and that's what it was. So he ended up being an advocate for black people and their culture, and that was it. So literally the first 30 minutes literally went over everything I said with her. They showed the women going crazy, showed him being in church, getting the Lord or the Holy Spirit. And I just went, okay, I gave a good representation of Elvis. But yeah, I had known that he was, because I mean he had the black singers on stage and that was a no-no, you know. So I know that he was one of the he what I liked about seeing this movie and what I like about him now is that he did what he do on his platform. I don't like when celebrities and sports athletes want to talk about the things that they do, but they don't actually do anything. He didn't say anything. He just said, no, no, no. They're the best at what they do. They're going to be on stage with me.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a matter that he wasn't, this is what it is. He's making a statement, but in his eyes he's like, no, I'm making music and this is what it is. So I like that they showed that and they gave a little glimpse into that.
Yeah, it wasn't political with him. It was just about, like
Music.
music, and also like what's, you know it's in a way like right or wrong, or just like normal, like what was
Yeah.
normal to him,
Yeah.
and really was what was equal and fair and just.
Yeah.
um and so yeah, I was gonna ask you guys if, because Baz Luhrmann does have this thing, this pattern where he does like to tell his stories through a narrator. You see it in Moulin Rouge. You see it in Gatsby, and you see it again in Elvis, where it's the Colonel really who's the one that's telling us the story.
Yeah.
And so, were you guys okay with like just the amount of screen time and how it was a biopic? It was almost like a biopic about two people, in a way, with Tom Parker and Elvis. And for me, I wanted more Elvis and less of Tom Parker, although I understand why, his story needs to be told in parallel. But for me, that was something about probably the only thing about the film for me that was a little bit off-putting and I get that it's Tom Hanks, but still it was like, it for me it was too much. And so, um, but I haven't heard that from you guys, so I guess you guys were okay with it or felt that it was fitting.
I can
Like I
say that.
personally, oh sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. You first.
No, you paused too long. I was gonna let you go, but go.
Okay. I wrote that it was interesting because I wasn't prepared for it to be from Parker's point of view. I didn't mind it because to me it just added to him because I literally wrote like, is this man delusional? Um, like he has to be the most duplicitous human ever. Like even the stuff he was talking about when he was talking about the funeral where his dad said, "No, you go up and talk to him." I'm like, there's so much to doubt because it's being told from his point of view. Because like he wanted, like if it was up to him, it's like, Elvis became famous because yeah, he was talented, but I made him famous. You know what I mean? Like he was just this guy who believed he was on par with Elvis. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Even though he had done anything. And the more he talked and the more he narrated, like the more like I started just not liking this dude. 'Cause I was like, dude, you have to be the most like double two-faced human on the planet,
Hmm.
or not anymore. He died in 1997. But I was like, dude, this guy is there is something like systematically wrong with this man and his constitution.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think he had any I don't think there was any moral code for him. He had his debts, and like they kept saying, Elvis was his meal card, and that's all he cared about was making sure that he was good. Um, and I fall into I think I'm the dum dum of the group when it comes to movies. So I literally fell into, oh well, it's Tom Hanks, so I don't mind. I don't mind listening to him. So no, it didn't bother me, but I also feel like since Parker was alive longer than Elvis was, that the reason more Parker's side is because he was the one willing to give up more information because he was just around. Um, had we have gotten a take from Elvis, I'm like, hey man, how you doing? If he was like Kanye and had a camera crew with him since the moment when he started that band with his friends, and we had this footage for his side, I think it would have been a different movie. But since we only had I feel like, of course, this dude's trying to make money, so Parker had something involved with it. Um, I just feel like it just made sense that we saw more from him than from Elvis's side because he just wasn't alive.
Yeah. I mean, no, like I said, it made sense. I think ultimately it was more on a personal level that
Yeah,
it's getting to the point where
uh,
I don't.
that's how much Austin Butler sucked you in. He was
Yeah.
Elvis, man. You were like, I want to see more of this guy. I
Well,
get it.
and I mean, there is also, outside of the actual performance, and his portrayal, which was incredible. I mean, I also just appreciate like the effort, that this guy got cast in this role, and like there was no way that he was gonna like phone it in and like half-ass it. Like this dude went balls out into this
Yeah.
role and was like, and I think it was both obviously respect for Elvis, and the honor of portraying him in this film, but also just like, man, when you get it's like, it's good to see this guy got a shot and like just freaking hit it out of the ballpark, like set distance record, for how hard he hit it. Like he just didn't look back. And so, I was at first like just seeing all the attention he was getting. I was like, oh gosh, just thinking it was overhyped, but nah, man, it's legit, and I really hope that he wins the Oscar. I haven't seen everything, but from what I have seen, I can't think of anyone that even comes close, you know.
I was gonna say there's footage like they have side by side of Elvis doing like that special and Austin's performance, and man, it is like almost identical, like their movements and
I believe
everything.
it. I believe
It's
it.
so good, like the hands, the pinky, everything. Even at the end of the movie when they showed like when he was being Fat Elvis, then they cut to like the real footage, and I couldn't
Yeah.
tell if it was Elvis or Austin for a second, and then I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
all real Elvis. I was like, man, it is spot on, like his movements, his mannerisms, everything.
And I don't know if you guys caught it because I'm not even sure if I saw it accurately. It was definitely, I mean, clearly at the end, they transitioned into real footage. But I felt like throughout the movie, at certain times, like very quickly, they would like slice something in there that, you
I
know,
I,
No, man.
I thought
I
that part
don't
when they
think
said something
so,
up.
man.
No, there was a part where he was on the phone and he's like, "No, I'm sorry, I don't mean any or whatever." And I was like, "Is that Elvis or is that because they just showed his mouth down?"
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I had the same experience with Juan. I was like, "That can't be Elvis. No, that's a good Austin's doing."
Well, no, like I honestly need to watch it again and slow it down in those parts because it really like his face transformed, and
Yeah.
I thought that either they like for a second would like slice in a real you know um
Yeah.
frame, or if they did like face match or like the digital thing, where like maybe it was Austin Butler, but for a second they like slapped the real Elvis's face on there, to like throw you off.
That's why would they want to throw us off? That's so much work. Why,
Well,
bro?
But
That's him, man.
that's Baz
That's
Luhrmann.
him, bro.
I don't know. I gotta see it again. It's not conclusive.
Ooh,
Like
I like these theories, baby.
yeah, I gotta see it again. I gotta see a making of featurette. I gotta get to the bottom of this.
We could have figured this out.
Uh-huh.
Ah, man, that's pretty. No, I at the end when they were cutting between wasn't between when they cut to the real footage, I had that same thought throughout the whole movie. But I watched it again and no man, like there's just you can tell at the end when they cut to the real footage, there's none of that during the movie, bro.
You're not convincing me, bro. Like I said, it's not conclusive.
Hey
And
man, no, hey, you do research, baby. I applaud that. You do it, baby. I'm okay with that. That's pretty good. Well,
yeah, so
yeah, good.
no, I was just gonna say, so I know it was I mean, Kevin's been a big fan of Elvis for a very long time, so
I didn't know that. That was new to me.
I'm sure it must have been very satisfying to watch this while, what did it do for you and your, love and appreciation for Elvis and his music?
Well, first I would say, like, I knew a lot of the stuff, like, his history and everything. One thing that I thought that really surprised me, like his friendship with BB King, like, and how much, like, how close they were. I'm like, oh wow, like I didn't even know that. I looked into it; they were really, friends, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. But like the same thing I talked about earlier. I'm like, I've been a huge fan. I know that he was, manipulated by, Colonel Parker and all that stuff. But to see it actually happen and to see, like, again, all kudos to Austin and Baz, because like the way they just made it seem like, man, you just have to feel bad because, like I said, to me, he is that rebel. He is that guy who pushed all these boundaries, and he stood up for stuff, and like that's just somebody who I looked up to growing up, just because like my dad wasn't around. Like you find all these people you attach to, like Humphrey Bogart, Elvis Presley, all these people that I loved. I saw movies, I saw everything, but then to see just how much is hiding underneath that surface, because we only see that you know that surface level of him. Like now, like my heart goes out to him, man, because like this guy was like so alone. He was like part of it was his fault because he had Priscilla and then he messed that up, but he just he just couldn't, because he was such a caring person. Like they would always use that against him. Like all these people depend on you, and you know what that feels like as a guy. Like, oh, people depend on me, this and that, and like he just couldn't break loose from it. He's like, all right, I'll keep doing what I don't want to do, because it really brought a whole more level of empathy for who this superstar is. Because again, I only know him as Elvis. That's it.
Yeah.
But it brings a whole level of empathy to him that I didn't even know I had for him before.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too another cool aspect of Elvis and even just this time period in music was that, this was really before, number one, the globalization, and also um the really big sort of like business marketing just becoming so huge, to the point where, it really was about the music. And of course it was the fame. I mean, that's gonna be a temptation, and for anyone at that level. But you know what I mean, it wasn't like his face was on everything, on t-shirts and mugs, and it was just about making money. Like for him it was about, the music, his talent, how far could he push that, how many people could he connect with, maybe like how big or how famous can I get. But it didn't seem like it was, because then that was the thing about the money. It was like, when he's asking his dad these questions, it's like, dude, he was completely hands off. Like he had no idea. He's just like,
Right.
I got Graceland, I got this jet, I got these things, so everything must be all good. Meanwhile, they're 8 million in the hole because of Tom Parker, and the dad's like, we're broke, and Elvis is like, what? So it seemed like, as far as his list of priorities, money outside of providing for the people in his life wasn't necessarily like a driving factor for him, as
Right.
much at least as his art form, his family, and perhaps fame,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is refreshing in comparison to what we have today.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, so is it time to drop these stars? These little Jerry's, these little Jerry. Whoa, what do you got?
I got three little quick points that there was no part in the podcast I could throw this in. But remember that concert, that rebellious concert where he sung Trouble and everything, and there was that riot at the end.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that drummer fall off that stage?
No.
Dude, you have to go back, because the drummer, while they're all going crazy, he literally falls sideways off the stage. He just knows that. I'm like, whoa, that was like it was just a little scene. But go back and watch that concert when they're trying to rush him out. That drummer eats it.
That was on purpose, or that was an accident?
Oh yeah, no. If it was an accident, that guy would have broke his neck, because that guy he tumbles off and goes head down.
So it's on
I think
purpose,
that was on purpose.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll watch that.
I love that. Also, point number 2.
Yeah.
I happen to like. I don't know if it has any connection with the song. When he says, "I'm sorry, Miss Jackson," I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson." Just ran through my head. I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
I got
that one. And then I like the fact that I waited for it the whole movie, and it ended like the first credit song ended on my favorite song, "In the Ghetto," which is such a great, like, if you read up on the history of that.
It is.
Yeah,
it's probably like my most sung Elvis song, honestly.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And if you read up on the history, like, not only is it a great song, like, just how impactful it was that no one did a song like that before. And he's literally singing about these like, just these conditions in America that you didn't sing about.
Right.
And I remember I used to listen to it in my car because I had the CD, and I lent it to my friend Rob once, and he's like, "What are you listening to?" Like, because he took it to McDonald's, and he's like, "I turned on the car, and it's just jamming In the Ghetto." I was like, "Yeah, that's just a jam, bro."
I think "In the Ghetto" is one of my most sung phrases of lifetime, bro. Like, I don't know, it's random. I'll go, "In the ghetto."
You gotta get lower than that, though.
Well, yes, I go lower.
In the ghetto.
I'm too busy laughing. I got a big old smile.
In the ghetto.
Perfect.
Is Elvis here? Hello? That's what it sounded like.
Elvis has not left the building.
He's in the building, baby.
Done
I
nailed
think the comeback special so much is because Colonel Parker makes fun of the way you sing is a her, and then he sings the song, and it was just like there was none of that fluff,
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. I mean, that whole scene. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree, and dude, I mean, that black leather outfit, it's got to be one of the most iconic freaking outfits.
And there was a hint of red, right? I remember there being a hint of red. No.
Maybe in his handkerchief, like in the thing around his
like
neck.
The collar, right.
Yeah.
I remember it around his neck.
Yeah, at one point I think he has something around his neck.
Yeah. I love how they had the whole Winter Wonderland in Colonel Parker. Like, see, here we are. And then it cuts to this big old red lettering Elvis.
Yeah.
Great.
That was epic. But yeah, the kung fu was the weirdest part. The martial arts was the weirdest part.
But it makes sense because of all his moves, bro. Like he's always karate chopping, you know?
Yeah.
Hoo ha ha hoo ha ha, you know?
Yeah.
So it made sense that he's just a fan of the kung fu, man.
Yeah.
But even at the end of that whole special, like it encapsulates Colonel Parker because he's like, "This is gonna be horrible. Nobody wants to watch it." And at the end, he's like, "Yeah, I may have had my doubts, and Elvis sung the
It's
song,
my
but I
idea.
made it happen. It was my idea. I made it happen.
Yeah. He's like, we did it. We did it.
Yeah, we did it, baby. We did it."
But that's just the manipulation, man. That's
Yeah.
he had his tentacles, his
Yeah.
little tentacles already encrusted in this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bloodsucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, and now I'm done with my points.
All right. Now you can give us, after your points, you can give us your ratings.
All right, my rating. I wish I could give it a 3, but I can't because again, that beginning to me was a little rough. So I gave it a solid 2.5.
Wow.
That's it. That's all I got. To the point.
Wow.
You sabotaged yourself. I think this could have been your
I
first
I am
three.
shocked.
Yeah. You'll have,
Slightly
I could-
appalled.
I couldn't give it a 3 because, like, I'm being honest, I just couldn't because I don't like the beginning part of it.
But
No,
you will
that's
watch
fair.
this movie again.
That's fair. Yeah.
I will watch it again.
will
That's why I
you-
gave it a 2.5.
Will you be
Oh.
fast forwarding?
No.
No, I won't be, but I'll be doing. I might be drawing during the beginning parts,
Oh my
or I might be doing something else.
yeah.
Again, I
Yeah,
just wasn't a
he
fan of the beginning
sabotaged.
part.
Sabotage himself. That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm being honest. Do you want me to change it to 3? I can, but I don't want to.
No, I don't want you to.
But
You
not
already
even.
messed
But
up.
2.5. Okay, 2.5.
I know, like you get to
Yeah.
a 2.99 repeating or a 2.75. This guy makes stuff up all day, but yeah.
Okay.
I almost
Alright,
went 2.75, but it's 2.5. I just don't like that first 40 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Baz.
Go ahead, Juan.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I mean, yeah, it was a home run. I mean, the again, for me, I don't think it was. I also wasn't necessarily keeping track of time, but it didn't feel like it was 40 minutes. It felt more like 20 or 25 to me. So for me, however low that sunk at the beginning of those of the movie, I mean, the rest of it, picked it up and more. And again, I mean, Austin Butler alone, again, I think is worthy of the best actor award for this year for this film. I wouldn't mind seeing Baz Luhrmann in the category for best director or best screenplay. I was once again. Pleasantly surprised. I went into this wanting to hate it, and yet, loved it while also, feeling sad about the reality of it. But yeah, but also with a far greater appreciation for who this man was, why he is such a legendary icon, what he contributed to American culture, to the music industry, to art in general, and also again some of the things that he stood for, that he advocated for, and the way in which he loved and was passionate about what he did. So I'm grateful to have been able to see this movie, and will continue to view it time and time again as much as I get the opportunity to. So it's going to be a big fat tray for me.
Pew,
From
pew, pew,
from
pew.
Kevin said we should have sound effects, and you're really selling me on it.
I told you, man. How great would it be if you hit that little board right there?
Damn, boy. Yo, man. What can I tell you, man? I'm here for it. Well, I mean, mwah, chef's kiss, baby. I'm with you 100%. It's a 3 little Jerry's for me. I think Kevin from now on will be King 40 for me because I don't know what 40 minutes means. I don't think he looked at the timer and said, "Oh wow, 40 minutes," and I hate this. So
Incorrect, by the
I
way.
think he was just I think he was outside for 40 minutes doing God knows what for 40 minutes, and 40 minutes is ingrained in his head because it wasn't that long.
Now you know what it
And
was is that he gave it a deadline. He said, if this doesn't change in 40 minutes, I'm shutting it off.
I'm out of here.
And as soon as it was 40
And
and 1 second,
so
he said, okay.
he was done.
Listen,
And no, there's no listening from you. Your
okay.
review is done.
You
There's
just
no
accused me
listening.
of not
No,
knowing why I
yes,
said 40 minutes, and I can
there's
tell you
no
exactly
accusing.
why.
There's no accusing.
Okay.
I am literally
Okay.
telling you what you have given me. That 40 minutes was terrible for you. Okay. So anyway,
I can tell you why. That's why you said I
you're
didn't.
done.
I did stop it at
You're
40
done.
minutes.
You had
All right, fine.
chance.
I'm stopped.
You had a
I'm stopped.
chance to
Go ahead.
speak your piece and you didn't. Don't try to
I
pull it out of your
apologize.
behind now.
I
Don't
apologize for
apologize.
stepping on your
Be
time.
better.
For stepping
Be
on your
better.
time.
Be better. Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
I appreciate that. That when a movie gives me chills, like you're in for me. That comeback special, just the whole way it wound up and the kung fu fighting, it was all over the place. But that song at the end, and that song I've listened to a couple times now because I didn't realize I'd never heard that song before.
The one
So
is it the
hearing
one
it,
that says your glory or whatever?
no, it's the dream one. If I had
Oh
a
yeah,
dream.
yeah.
And to hear that he was, Austin Butler was, in the same mannerisms of Elvis in that scene, just it hits even harder for me. Like that was very impactful for me. And the way that, Parker Colonel the Colonel turned, that he had tears in his eyes to turn around going, "Look at my boy, he knows how to put on a show." Like I was hooked, and that the rest of the movie I was now a part of. I was invested in Elvis, and it's a sad story, and it's just unfortunate that we were robbed of so much more. Like I feel like there was just so much more that he could have given us, because he was stuck in Vegas for as long as he was. So Baz Luhrmann just put it together. I really believe that first 40 minutes that Kevin says a sin. I feel like that was for a reason, because it ended the movie so well. It felt like a different movie, but I think that was a reason because he had his comeback. He had a different. He was different in the way he performed, and so I feel like that was a part of the movie, and there was a reason why that was done. So three little Jerry's for me. Elvis, R.I.P.
You know what I thought as I was watching some of those scenes of the performances, like
Yeah.
it was portrayed so well that I really got the sense that I was like, man, the people that were in that audience, like, and actually saw Elvis,
Yeah.
like, I could understand why they were probably like, I've just seen the greatest show and the greatest performer I'll have ever seen.
Yeah. And
Because
they did. They really did.
yeah, exactly. Like if I saw it today, that's how I would think.
Yeah.
Because that guy knew how to put on a freaking show, man.
Yeah.
But then, well, so what did Kristen think? Does she like it?
She did, but she said for her, this is a movie she would never watch again because the story is so sad. And I understand that. She doesn't, I'm a movie file. I'll go and watch a movie even if it makes me feel disgusting afterwards. I'll still watch it again if it's a good movie. So I took that in a good way. Like, she was so moved by this movie that, she was like, I can't watch that again.
Yeah. Cool.
So Kevin almost had a home run on his hands
Yeah.
after all the musicals and all those those musical movies he's made us watch. Yeah. No, I don't want to hear your explanation. No,
I
don't
appreciate
care.
I appreciate that y'all like this movie, especially after the ughs I got when I announced it.
I don't think I gave you. I think I gave you a big.
Oh, I
fat F you.
definitely did.
Juan definitely did.
Well, hey, you fumble. You know what they called us, bro? They called us a fumbling of the bag. You fumbled the bag, bro.
No, like I believe I wasn't gonna compromise my cinema integrity, I still don't like it.
Wow.
Like that beginning part. Everything
We're
else
gonna-
I loved.
We're
I just
gonna have a video special where we show what Kevin was actually doing during those infamous 40 minutes.
Oh, you want to? I was
No,
struggling. I'll be
I
honest.
don't
I was
wanna know.
struggling to
I don't
stay
wanna know.
awake. I
No,
was
I don't wanna-
struggling to stay
no,
awake during those
I
scenes.
definitely
know.
want to
I
know.
can't hear you.
Like, I definitely want to know why the 40 minutes was significant to you.
Okay, this is what happened. Like I was struggling to fall asleep. Like I was struggling to stay awake. I was like, oh my god! Like I closed my eyes. I did a long blink, and I opened them. I'm like, why is there a dog in this scene with Elvis? Like I totally missed a part right there, and I had to stop it. And I was like, I gotta go get some water on my face. I'm falling asleep. And when I stopped it at 1 hour and like 59 minutes. And I was like, oh, 40 minutes have passed. I was like,
No,
wow, this
no.
has been a.
That's
No.
the
Hand
movie's
to God.
called.
No.
I don't understand that. You're
I figured
tired.
it out. I figured it out,
No.
Mark.
No, like
You and
I couldn't get it.
No.
What?
Mark and I
Go ahead.
know that it lasted 20 minutes. You fell asleep for 20 minutes, so you think it was 40 minutes.
No, I didn't. And because y'all didn't even ask and I didn't share, I was watching the beginning of this movie with my daughters, and I was like, I'm like, why is that? I'm like, was he singing to the dog? They're like, no. I was like, what the heck just happened? I'm like, I just saw them
And they
talking
said,
about him
"Dad,
having to
you've been
perform.
asleep since the movie started."
No, like he had to perform as a new Elvis, and I had to rewind it. I was like, oh, so I just fell asleep, and that's just what happened. That was really weird, but I'm struggling to stay awake. And like I said, and that was just the beginning. When it got past that part, I was hooked in it. I was like, all right, let's go. And I wasn't tired when I started the movie. I'll tell you that right now. But listen, I don't know why y'all arguing with me. It's just a 2.5. If we were doing a rating of 1 to 5, how we should be doing, it'd be a 4, a solid 4. That's what a 2.5 would be if it translates to. A 4 to 5 is not horrible. But we do this 3 scale, so a 2.5 is my 4.
No. Hey, we are doing a 3 scale, but you got to add the points. So there's don't give me your 2.75.
Because in my mind, I scale it as 5.
2, I don't care, but we're doing a 1, 2, 3.
Yes,
I don't
so
care,
I give it a 2.5. I give it a 2.5.
I don't live.
I give it a 2.5, and I stick by it.
We're doing a 1, 2, 3.
I don't care about
1, 2, 3.
I don't care about the points. It's just we're all striving here for the coveted 3 score.
I only own it.
And you had it. You had it within your grasp. This is I'm likely to bet this is the closest you'll come to it for the next 30 for the next 30 reviews.
What do you mean? Like I got a 2.3 not that long ago.
And
but that wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
you got all 3s. Only I have that, bro.
And kudos to you. Like I said, like I'm not going to compromise just because I want the coveted 3s.
No, and I'm not saying that you. I was just surprised that that brought it down, to so significantly.
Like the most I could probably be convinced to move it to a 2.75, but I would not give it a 3 because if I didn't enjoy the beginning, I'm not going to say, hey, I enjoyed every aspect of this movie.
The beginning doesn't matter.
To you,
it doesn't.
It's how you end. But do you guys haven't said if you share in my sentiment about Austin Butler being deserving of the Oscar?
Oh, I mean, sorry I didn't say it outright. I guess I have to say it. Yes, Juan, I agree with you 100%. No,
we didn't disagree for a reason.
No, bro, he killed it, man. Again, he gave me chills. I got chills watching him sing that song, bro. Like, I don't know what chills means to you, but chills is an Oscar for me. I'm sorry.
I don't know about you guys, but I threw my underwear at the TV screen in the living room.
Yeah, so that's why he's Oscar worthy for you. I didn't get to the underwear part. Still on. That was my bad.
Did you faint?
No, I've never fainted a day in my life.
From 20 to 40 minutes.
I've never lost consciousness. Not one time in my life.
That's what Elvis the Pelvis did to me. Knocked me out.
Elvis the Pelvis.
I don't know why that's at least a 0.25 right there, bro. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it was worth it just for that. Elvis the Pelvis.
Fumbled the bag. That's what Kevin did, bro.
No, man.
Boy. It came out of nowhere. I was so surprised. Kev over here.
Thank you. Try again.
Bastard, Colonel Kev.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I know.
Love you. No,
The
there's no listening.
the
Love
snowman.
you. Bye bye.
I will stay with my integrity and give
No,
my
no.
numbers.
Fair enough.
All right.
Love you, gents.
Good job, everyone.
Let's do this again.
Give yourselves a nice pat on the back.
Juan, love you. Mark, out. Later.